Can you remember the days when kids used to dream of getting themselves on Funhouse, bouncy castles, etc.? Well, you can see behind me there are a few toddlers having fun at the moment, but there's no Pat Sharp here today. The youngsters of the Donington Park paddock are all dreaming of becoming the next Casey Stoner. This is Donington Park, and this is GP Racing Dream.
Yes, it's Donington Park then, and the penultimate round of the 2015 Thundersport GB Championship. 6 races coming up. First up down on the grid, the Aprilia RRV 450s.
Here we are then for the first race of GP Racing Dream, and it's the RRV 450s down on the grid. Danny Booth, KJD Racing, what form he has been on since we got to Anglesey. Picked up another race win yesterday. Sam Wilford, however, is the man leading the championship, number 35, last year's Super Twins champion. Of course, he's just arrived back from Jerez, having raced in the European Junior Cup. Matt Rangerley here, number 93. Couple of podiums for him yesterday as well. Zach Corduroy on row 2, Sam Cox, Aaron Clifford, and plenty more.
So then the Formula 400's also out in the field, although no Chris Gray. His 400 gave up the ghost before the start of this weekend. So Lewis Barnes has picked up the Formula 400 championship. So many congratulations to Lewis, number 50, just on the left of your screen there on the orange bike. But out front it is number 64 that gets the whole shot. That's KJD Racing's Danny Booth, last year's Aprilia Nitro newcomer champion in the Super Team class, who's had a few problems with his bike leading into Anglesey, and since they've got it fixed, I won't talk about what it was exactly, but since they've had it fixed, he has been right at the sharp end again. Sam Wilford in second place there, easy to pick out Sam, number 35 with the green helmet, on the IDWE backed machine. Zach Corduroy, number 22, white helmet, yellow leathers, just there in about 4th or 5th place. The two riders in between, number 93, Matt Rangerley, and then number 19, Ireland's Aaron Clifford. Further back, a couple of 400s there, 75, Andrew Carden, 39, Thomas Burnett. Onto the back straight we go. Danny Booth it is that's leading 64 from 35, Wilford, 93 is Rangerley. Then we've got 19, Clifford, just going up underneath him. 22, Zach Corduroy, then 14, Will Hodgson and Keelan Irwin, followed by Cameron Lee with the red helmet there, and Ross Simpson into the Melbourne Loop for the first time. The GP circuit here, and Wilford goes up underneath Danny Booth. Nicely done there from the IDWE property backed rider Harry Phillips, number 48, also heading round the Melbourne Loop. So then, into Goddard, Sam Wilford it is that leads from Booth, and there's Matt Rangerley in third place. Got an onboard camera on the number 93 as we go down the start-finish straight, and here we are on board with him now. He's going to go wide here and use the pit exit. You see a number of riders trying that. It's an old GP technique and just gives you a little bit more exit speed if you can get your line right. The only problem is it does open the door up to an overtaking manoeuvre up the inside if you're not careful, and Zach Corduroy is closing in. And through crane occurs then and into the old hairpin. Sam Wilford leads from Danny Booth. We're looking at that from Matt Rangerley here, number 93, going into Schwann's curve, and Danny Booth is up into first place now and has the lead ahead of Sam Wilford as we approach McLean's corner. There you can see with your own eyes, Zach Corduroy, number 22, really is closing in on this group, so a 3-way battle will soon become 4. Further back behind this group we have, that looks like Will Hodgson, number 14, who lap by lap is just getting a bit closer now. Danny Booth leads from Sam Wilford, bit of a gap back to then Matt Rangerley and Zach Corduroy, but that gap is negated by Matt Rangerley quickly through the foggy S's. Then into the Melbourne Loop. This camera angle gives you a real idea as to how downhill it is into the Melbourne Loop. Nasty little corner if you're racing on it. brilliant from the neutral perspective, because obviously lots of overtaking and lots of drama going on there. And then into the final overtaking opportunity into Goddard, and there you see it executed perfectly by Zach Corduroy, who moves into 3rd place. Across the start-finish straight we go, the top 4, Danny Booth, Sam Wilford, and then, well, this is the battle for 3rd that you're looking at, and Sam Wilford is going up the inside, is he? No. He stays in 2nd, and around the outside of Zach Corduroy goes Matt Rangeley. Brilliant stuff. Now through Hollywood and into Craner Curves. These guys continue to knock lumps out of each other, and that is allowing Will Hodgson to just get a bit closer. Look at that. Then behind Will Hodgson, you've got Aaron Clifford, Ross Simpson, Cameron Lee. Lewis Barnes leads the Formula 400s. Also out to play here this weekend, by the way, Brad Shaw. Remember that name? Brad's over all the way from Australia to race here this weekend. You might remember Aussie Corner with Brad Shaw and Matt Davies a few years back. He's grown a bit since then, as has his hair. He looks like a proper surfer, does Brad Shaw, but nice to see him out there. Number 72 he is. This is number 64 then, just being overtaken by Sam Wilford. So it is the top 3 as you see it. Zach Corduroy, the yellow levers there, in 3rd place. Just in case you were listening a moment ago and you heard a zippy sort of 2-stroke noise, your ears did not deceive you. Joe Barton is out there on an old Honda 2-stroke 400 having a bit of a play. The Thundersport 500 champion. Now then, there's been a change as Zach Corduroy now moves back up into 2nd place again ahead of Danny Booth. Sam Wilford then leads from Zach Corduroy. The top 2 in the championship are 1st and 2nd on your screen. On board now with Matt Rangeley, who pulls out of the slipstream and looks to go underneath Danny Booth, and they both go past Zach Corduroy, who was caught napping a bit there. So Danny Booth now up to 2nd. This is the shadow of Zach Corduroy underneath into Craner Curves. That is brave from the pair of them, and further back is number 9 Alex Taylor and 69 Keelan Irwin. Keelan from Donegal in Ireland on the Scott Racing Motorcycles machine. These guys just outside the top 10 at the moment. Back to the front, Sam Wilford leads from Zach Corduroy. Again beats up Danny Booth. Keen he is to now chase down the championship rival out front, and Matt Rangeley has gone past Danny Booth now as well, so number 93 up into a podium place. These guys are allowing Will Hodgson into the picture, and there he is, he's already got past Danny Booth, number 14. We're on board here with Matt Rangeley, who moves up into 2nd place now, into the Foggy S's, and look what this is doing for Sam Wilford out front. He's checking out. Wilford already leads the championship, he doesn't need any more help. And now they're side by side once more, and this is close. Oh, that is really close. The camera nudging the heel there of Zach Corduroy as we go into the Melbourne Loop, and he's lost another place. Gone slightly wide, and is that Will Hodgson that's just gone through? So Will, having come from nowhere, is now into a podium position. There is Sam Wilford that leads. His lead seems to have been halved there. The last lap flag is out, and this 3 look to have completely got rid of the pair in 4th and 5th. Danny Booth and Matt Rangeley don't look to be in a position to get a podium now. It's Wilford that leads from Corduroy and Hodgson. What can be done on the final lap then here at Donington Park as they go through Hollywood and now into Craner Curves for the final time? Further back, this is Lewis Barnes. You can see the number 1 on his front screen. He is the champion. JDF Racing's Connor Wheeler there as well, number 96, rider from Hatfield. Teammates with Ross Simpson. There is Brad Shaw, the Aussie, up ahead of Harry Phillips. Nice to see Brad out there. Harry Phillips racing here this weekend. A wildcard entry, you could argue, because his name wasn't in the programme at the start of the weekend. But here we go then, half a lap to go. Sam Wilford, who had what looked to be a comfortable lead a minute ago. It doesn't look quite as comfortable now as they go into Copper's Corner. The Shark Jaws music comes on as Zach Corduroy closes in on him. Will Hodgson still there in 3rd, ready to pick up the pieces should this go wrong. Into the slipstream comes Zach Corduroy. He will definitely have a bite at Sam Wilford. Will it be here into Foggy S's? No. Just needs to get some decent drive now out of the chicane as they head uphill momentarily and then downhill into the Melbourne Loop. Brilliant place for overtaking. There's Joe Barton. Here comes Sam Wilford. He defends his line. Zach Corduroy will now try and get the best drive uphill into Goddard. That's his last chance. Will Hodgson is still there in 3rd place. And in 4th is Danny Booth. Can Zach Corduroy find a way past into the final turn? No, he can't. It's all about the drive to the line. Oh, good drive as well from Zach Corduroy. The checkered flag comes out. It is Sam Wilford that takes the victory here in race 1 at Donington Park. Zach Corduroy takes second. Will Hodgson in an excellent third, having come back from quite a way. There is Lewis Barnes. He will, of course, win the Formula 400 race here, up ahead of Connor Wheeler. And, well, there's your lot. The 450 race 1. That's how close things get. Wilford wins from Zach Corduroy. Will Hodgson finishes third. Danny Booth fourth. Matt Rangeley in 5th place, and Aaron Clifford finishes in 6th. He just got across the line ahead of Ross Simpson. There's the top 3 in the 450s. Wilford in the middle, Corduroy on the left, Hodgson on the right. In the 400s, it's Lewis Barnes the winner from Ryan Varley and Andrew Carden.
Lewis Barnes, race winner here today, but more importantly, yesterday, the championship. Congratulations. I'm sure you must be absolutely delighted to finally get that one wrapped up.
Yeah, over the moon with it. The weekend's been full of ups and downs. I mean, test day, bike problems after bike problems, and made up for it Saturday, obviously, by sealing up the championship. So, really happy with that, yeah.
And seeing your family yesterday, the reaction, everyone, there was sort of signs of relief, but obviously joy as well. So I'm sure you have a few people to thank.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to dedicate this win out of the championship to my grandpa who lost his life Friday night. And then a huge thanks from Mum, Dad, my brother for supporting me the whole way through. Without it, I wouldn't be here. Dow's Motorcycles, tyres and repairs. He's done so much work for me. Steve Lyon Motorcycle Repairs. Know Your Motor, Vehicle Maintenance Tuition, Barnes Removals, and all my family and friends for supporting me.
Sam happened to bump into you in a very sunny Spain just a couple of days ago. Of course, you're the European Junior Cup. You're a busy boy. You've come here with one thing on your mind, obviously, to try and extend the championship lead, and so far, so good.
Yeah, so far it's we've come here with about 29 points more. Trying to extend it in the next race, but just really enjoyed winning that race again and being back on top, yeah.
Who would you like to thank?
My mum and dad, Jodie, everyone from Iron Competition, Ian, Myra, Gibbo, Jimmy, Dave, Nitro, John Lloyd, Clive and Piers who came out to ref, Will for doing my helmet, Clive and Penny for coming up, and everyone who came up today. Yeah, big thanks, thank you.
Well done to Sam. He'll be back out a little later on. Coming up after the break though, race 1 for the Aprilia Super Teams.
At a time where last year's Aprilia Super Team champion is currently on pole position in Aragon in the Red Bull Rookies, we, this year, have just crowned the new champion. Now on pole position is Connor Tagg, number 50. This is an Aprilia RRV 450-50. I'll explain more about that when I get back up into the commentary box, but it really is all about this man. He used to be number 30, now he's number 1. Max Cook, the Aprilia Super Team champion.
Yes, many congratulations then to Max Cook, who joins a long list of names that have been victorious in this championship. Also joining him on the front row there is number 55, that is Luke Jack Scott. And also on the grid we have the Thunder Sport 500 Cup further back. Away from the line we go then, down into turn 1 for the Aprilias and the RRV 450-50. Connor Tagg is on that one. Connor, an ex-Super Team himself, that's how he first started. A lot of experience for Connor. Good rider, handy on pretty much anything. Very versatile indeed. So what is this bike, I'm sure you're asking? Well, it's an Aprilia 450, but with half the power. It's due to mechanical and electric restrictions. It's a kit basically that you put on an Aprilia 450 to de-restrict it. Now this is effectively what's been put in place as the ultimate replacement for the Aprilia RS125, but next year they will be running alongside each other as they are on circuit at the moment. Max Cook so far got the early advantage. There's not a lot splitting these two, let me tell you, as these other RS125s go on. Now the idea behind this, of course, is to give riders an option for next year. You don't have to buy the bike in the Aprilia RRV 450-50 trim, so you don't have to buy the bike new. You can do, of course, but there are 50 RRV 450s out there somewhere. You can buy them second hand, and obviously in competition run by Ian Newton will fit the kit for you. So you don't have to buy a new bike, although you might want to buy a new bike. And as you can see at the moment, we've tested it, but this is the first run out alongside the Aprilia RS125. Now Max Cook has been brought on, I have to say, by this bike being out there this weekend. the lap record's already gone, and it's probably going to go again in this class. Max Cook has been the class of the field in the last few rounds. Hasn't really been tested other than at the start of the season when Charlie Atkins was up there. So this is the first proper test we've seen for Max Cook of Swindon against Connor Tagg. The positives, of course, of running that 450-50, well, the bike is lighter. It's a prototype, effectively. It's a bespoke GP machine that's built in the garage over in Southport by Ian Newton and a few other people as well that are getting involved. But it's light, it's nimble. They're brilliant bikes, as you've probably watched over the last few years, but also by de-restricting it as he goes up the underneath Max Cook here, you're saving on engine life because there's only half the power being used. The great thing is, obviously, from there on in as well, the natural progression, as we see a plane landing at East Midlands over the top of your screen there as well, on board with Max Cook looking at number 50 Connor Tagg. By saving the engine life, that's ideal for you, because if you turn 14, you could effectively then de-restrict it and run it in the Aprilia RRV 450s without having to fork out a load of money for a 450 bike. So you can see where it's all going. Very clever idea from all involved. That said, if you're a two-stroke fan, you've maybe not quite got the budget just to afford a 450-50 right now, there's nothing stopping you from getting, of course, an Aprilia RS125, because there's lots and lots of them about. And I reckon at the moment, a full raced up machine with spares, you're getting for somewhere between £2,000 and £2,500. Not bad, is it? When you consider that you can race that for the whole season in this championship. And as you can see here, Max Cook is really fighting the cause for the Aprilia RS125, which has obviously been the bike for this championship for so many years now. They will be run side by side next year with anyone that wants to race in the 450-50. So let's get on with the racing action that you're looking at here between the two machines. Connor Tagg, of course, got a lot of experience. 19 years it is that these RS125s have been going now, these two-strokes. There's not a lot wrong with them just yet. And Max Cook doing very well. Alex Wood at the moment, another rider that's going well, number 26. This is 56, Charlie Atkins, who at the start of the year was in a clear second place and has just lost out to Freddie Crane in the championship. Charlie Atkins, he got himself involved in a nasty accident at the start of the weekend here at Donington Park. He got his leg caught in the back wheel. How on earth he didn't end up with a broken leg, I do not know, but nice to see that he's okay. You just see there, leg coming off the side of the bike for number 55, Jack Scott. Max Lofthouse is in good form this weekend as well, number 25, but we're now on board with KJD Racing's Max Cook, who's pulled out of the slipstream and has moved underneath Connor Tagg. I can tell you that the lap record that used to belong to Joe Thompson, a 153.4, has been obliterated by Max Cook, a 152.099. It's just astonishing as Connor Tagg goes back past him again, and Max Cook here just runs slightly wide. Now, let's watch the power difference on the exit of the corners. Not a lot in that, is there? As we see there, Alex Wood, number 26, who's managed to get out ahead of Jack Scott. There's Freddie Crane, number 81, the rider who comes over from the Isle of Man. Freddie moved up into second overall in the Aprilia Super Team Championship after our last round. This is the battle out front then. Connor Tagg, by the way, this is purely a test. No points scored for Connor, not a part of the championship. Max Cook, of course, would pick up 25 points for the win. And he's having a look over his shoulder, and I'm afraid, Connor, you're not going to break him just yet. He ain't the Aprilia Super Team champion for nothing. Here's the battle for second, effectively, in the Super Team. Alex Wood, Freddie Crane, and there is number 24, Max Lofthouse. I do have to double take at the time screens occasionally at number 24, because all I can ever remember is Shane Faber running the number 24, and I wouldn't mind betting that used to be Shane Faber's bike. This is number 50 then, Connor Tagg, who's actually normally running the number 100, but for obvious reasons, with it being a 450-50, he had to half that, and he has gone for number 50 here for this weekend. And so far, he has gone across the line in first place ahead of Max Cook, but Max hasn't been as close as he is here. And here he goes now down into the Foggy S's and up the inside of Connor Tagg. Brilliant examples here of two completely different machines. They might not look that much different, but look at the front there. The 450 on exit of the Foggy S's. perhaps just carrying that bit more grunt, but on top speed, I mean, it's difficult to say because it really depends on how early you get out of the corners, but I'd say that Max Cook's Aprilia 125 maybe just edges it. There we see one of the 500s, by the way, that was Dave Schofield, one of many Schofields that travel to each round, and we've got in there the Aprilia 125 that are obviously battling for second place at the moment. Alex Wood is so far ahead of that. That flag is out then between these two and pulling out of the slipstream now. Here comes corner tag. So whilst the super team machine might just have an edge on speed, that doesn't mean that it can't be overtaken due to slipstream. And Max Cook now trying to get back around the outside. And look at Max Cook, he's almost got his chin on the deck. Such is his riding style, he really does hang off that Aprilia RS 125. Here we see the battle for second. Number 24 is Max Lofthouse. There is Alex Wood, number 26 as well. These two at the moment battling for second and third. By the way, in the Thundersport 500 Cup, Kev Liddell on the KLM Motorsport machine is on for a win in that, ahead of Dave Bezic and Paul Sawyer, who are fighting it out for the remaining podiums. But this is the battle then for second place in the Super Teens, and Max Lofthouse at the moment just has it from Alex Wood, although Alex Wood now back up alongside Max Lofthouse and takes it back again. You can just see that Alex Wood's got a bit more on him in terms of height. Then it's Freddie Crane as well, number 81, who is rumoured to be riding in the 450 Championship next year with Crank Racing. That is just a rumour though. But about this battle then, here we go then. Number 50, Connor Tagg has got it at the moment. Max Cook, just by finishing wherever, will take the win in the class, but he wants to try and get past this 450-50. The lap record has already been completely ripped to shreds once more by the new Super Team champion, and they exit Melbourne Loop. I'm not sure he's going to be quite close enough to get him in this one. He'll get another chance later on. What an excellent example of two very different fights going toe to toe. Look like at this Donington Park circuit, across the line we go, and Connor Tagg has done it ahead of Max Cook, but Max Cook will take the win. This is the fight for second then. It's Alex Wood who will take second place in the Aprilia Super Teams ahead of Max Lofthouse. Both of them are Nitro newcomers, by the way, but they've ditched their orange vests. And let's see who got fourth place. Max Lofthouse fourth effectively overall. Jack Scott behind him, and then Freddie Crane in sixth place, the rider from the Isle of Man. Top three in the Super Teens then, there's Max Cook, Alex Wood and Max Lofthouse. The same for the Nitro newcomers, and then it's Kev Liddell ahead of Paul Sawyer and Bezic in the Thundersport 500 Cup.
Third place, Nitro newcomers and overall in the race as well. Max Lofthouse, you've got a huge smile on your face. You must have enjoyed that.
Yeah, I did. Very much. I'm pleased with this. I got a podium yesterday, which I was surprised at, to be honest, and I think I shot myself today as well.
Have you got anyone to thank at all?
My mum and my dad for helping out, and my sister for coming along, and my granddad and my grandma, Dunlop for the tyres, and yeah, Aprilia for the bikes.
Well done to you, Max. We'll move on to second place now. Alex Wood, 20 points.
Yeah,
very good.
It's going to be good for the championship, and some great racing with Jack, and then Max come up the inside, didn't know what to expect, and just got him through Craner curves on the last lap.
Who would you like to thank?
I've got my dad, my stepmum Sarah, massive thanks. Dan for managing and all that. My sister Ellie, Dunlop Aprilia Thundersport, GLP Storage Solutions, Juice and Green Lane Depot, Motor Oils, Transit Motorcycles and PV Maintenance.
Well done to you. We'll now move on to the race winner, Max Cook. Max, before we talk about that race and your battles with Connor on the 450-50, congratulations, you are the champion, and what a season it's been.
Yeah, it's been such an amazing season. It's definitely been the best season ever. First time riding on big tracks, big bikes. It's been absolutely awesome. Battles all the way through season. Our friends here as well. It's just been a great crack, you know.
Icing on the cake is you come here this weekend, you've taken the lap record and you're battling with Connor Tagg on the 450-50. How's that been?
Yeah, it's been really fun to, because through the past rounds I've been kind of clearing off, and to have someone who's experienced as Connor to race with as well is quite exciting to race with, which is quite good.
Don't go anywhere. Coming up after the break, race 3, the HMT Racing Super Twins, Stock Twins and Street Fighters.
We're on the grid then for the HMT Racing Stock Twins and Super Twins. Lining up on pole position is Johnny Towers, number 17. Johnny, of course, having a fantastic end of the season. Brad Peary here, number 97, looking set to finish in the runners-up spot in the championship. No James Folkard. Gap on third. Second row there, last year's champion Sam Wilford. And of course, we've got number 69 there, Keelan Irwin, who's on the bike that James Folkard was on last year in the Stock Twins, in the Super Twins. Yeah, Stock Twins, we'll get it right in a minute. Dan Taylor pretty much just needs to finish this one to be crowned champion.
Of course, there he is, number 26, last year's Mini Twins champion. There's Paul Cumbin late to the grid, Mick Riddle, number 44, number 60, Greg Madero, Johnny Towers on pole, who's been on great form at the end of this season. Brad Peary, easy to pick out there with the pink helmet, former Super Team, of course. And a good start from Brad Peary as well as we get away from the line. You can see number 1, last year's champion Sam Wilford just coming up to the inside, and then the Street Fighter mixed in with them as well. 81 is Paul Cunvin as they tip into the right-hander. Now James Folkard's bike is out there, but James Folkard isn't. He is the reigning, or the new, HMT Racing Super Twin champion. His bike has been handed over to Keelan Irwin, number 69, who's there in third place. So he's got a chance, the young Irishman. It's Brad Peary that leads from Johnny Towers and Keelan Irwin, then Paul Cunvin and Sam Wilford. Real mixture of machinery there at the front as Mark Biswell goes through as well, who spent most of yesterday fixing his bike after a crash in free practice, or say free practice, just practice in general on Friday. Charlie Oakland goes through. There is also number 63, George Anderson, Andrew Castle as well, and then number 188, David Carson from Northwich on the 2 Daves Racing Kawasaki. So it's Brad Peary that leads this one down the back straight ahead of Johnny Towers. The pair of them have broken away already from the 2 Aprilia 550s. That is Sam Wilford, last year's champion, underneath Keelan Irwin. And then we've got Paul Cunvin leading the Street Fighters. And congratulations to Paul Cunvin, who picked up the Street Fighters Championships yesterday, the Street Fighter Championship and the Extreme. Matt Rangeley just going underneath Keelan Irwin there, and then there was Dan Taylor. Dan Taylor, well, I'll tell you what, he made a pig's ear in yesterday as we see Sam Cox going underneath George Anderson, number 63. Dan only needed to really finish a couple of races yesterday to be crowned champion, and he didn't manage it, failed to finish both. Greg Madero got enough points to take us into another day, and so now Dan is faced with the same task once more. The Schofield family, who are here in their numbers, and I should just say a special thanks to Neil, who's racing in this, and his family for, well, not putting me up last night, but putting up with me last night as we watched the rugby together. There's millions of them. They had the T-shirts out celebrating Dan Taylor's championship, a little too premature yesterday. They got put back in the cellophane, and Dan Taylor here will have another crack at it today. So far, so good for him. There's Paul Cumbin there, you just saw, Royal Air Force rider going underneath Sam Wilford. Here is Brad Peary, number 97 from Kendall on the Diamond H Racing Kawasaki. Up ahead then of Johnny Towers, the Team Edge Racing RST sponsored man. I say sponsored, he's of course one of the big men as part of the RST clothing group. So many riders across the world running the RST leathers. Brad Peary at the moment just up ahead then of Johnny Towers. This race is going pretty well pleased too. They're breaking away from Sam Wilford and co. Matt Rangeley at the moment it is in 4th place, and then after Matt Rangeley we have Dan Taylor, who's obviously leading the Stock Twins at the moment. Back Biswell just going into the hairpin. There is number 19, Neil Schofield, as I just mentioned, from Barnsley. I used to say Barnsley, but I've got to say Barnsley apparently, or Barnsley. I don't know. I'm not from there, am I? How am I supposed to know? But anyway, thanks again to that group. This is Bradley Peary that leads. The pink helmet, former Aprilia Super Team rider. You might remember him from a couple of seasons ago. He battled with Zach Corduroy for that championship. Here's a problem for number 69 as Keelan Irwin goes straight on over at Rd8 and pulls straight out of the race. And so that's a shame for Keelan and the Scott Motorcycles Aprilia 550. Obviously a problem with that. There are the 2 leaders going through, Peary and Towers. Then Paul Cunvin, who leads the Street Fighters. And then Sam Wilford is number 1. 93 is Matt Rangeley. And 26 is Dan Taylor. Then Greg Madero. Greg, who's been keeping Dan Taylor very honest indeed. Madeiro at the moment in a clear second place overall in the Stock Twins Championship, ahead of Charlie Oakland, Aaron Bradley and Neil Schofield. Peary at the moment, who of course is on to finish in second place in the Super Twins Championship, but coming into this weekend he was only 6 points ahead of Dan Taylor. It'll be more than that now because of the results for Dan Taylor here yesterday at Donington Park. From here of course we move on to Cadwell next month in Lincolnshire. Who's going to get the result here in this race then, as the two leaders head up towards Goddard? This is Charlie Oakland, number 23, up ahead of Bradley. Further back there, number 12 at 119. 12 is Luke Mamet. And White C, 119 is Jack Reed as well. There is 56 on 19. Blimey, Neil Schofield. You know, Neil was actually saying, "No, you never see me on TV." Well, we're seeing plenty of you today, mate. You've got loads of TV coverage here at the moment. Ryan Redfern, that was, up ahead of him, as those two guys battle it out in the Stock Twins. Dan Taylor at the moment looking pretty good then for championship number 2. Just in the background there you can see Sam Cox at 54, up ahead of Mick Riddle, number 44. Mick from Coningsby, of course, riding for the Royal Air Force Motorsports Association as ever. Still the same result at the front. That looks like, is that Andy Driver I could just see in the background there? It's just been lap number 88, Andy Driver on the Muzz, the Sundridge Windows backed Muzz, hand built by himself. Andy Driver, who gives us a hand off circuit as well. Both him and Keith have come in very handy to the Thundersport GB crew over the last few years. He's having some fun out there. He's blowing the cobwebs away. Paul Cunvin, number 81, up ahead then of Sam Wilford. Both of these guys champions at some point in their Thundersport careers. Sam Wilford last year, of course, and at the moment goes underneath Paul Cunvin. He's looking to win the 450 championship, Sam Wilford, this season. Paul Cunvin has already done his business. Cunvin then will start the last lap trying to fight with Sam Wilford. They're not even in the same championship and they're dicing, but Brad Peary's broken away now from Johnny Towers. That was a good lap from Peary. 39 into the low 39s. Lap record's been destroyed again. I tell you what, you'd be hard pushed to find a class this weekend at Donington Park that hasn't broken a lap record. The pace has been hot as we look here at the IDWE backed machine of Sam Wilford, and Paul Cumber's not giving up on this. Paul is on a 600 and has obviously decided, I'm not having this 550 beat me. There's Greg Madeiro now coming under a bit of late pressure from Mick Riddle. And as it stands, Dan Taylor is on for the Stock Twins Championship. This man here will take another win in the Super Twins. Could have been a different story for him in the championship had he not had a few falls and a few mechanicals along the way. Most of the time mechanical issues, but when his bike is at it, Brad Peary normally is as well. He's got no James Folkard to play with here this weekend though. May well have probably been a dice between him, Folkard and Towers, you have to think. Worth James racing in this one, but James is out in the GP1 class here this weekend, and this is the battle that continues between Sam Wilford and Paul Cunvin. Paul Cunvin now is going to have to try and use the power edge on the exit here of the foggy S's and can't find a way through. Here comes Sam Wilford into the Melbourne loop. Paul Cunvin's putting everything into this as he gets early on the power. Now into the final turn. Brad Peary's going to take the win, number 97. Another one for him, and he's done that with relative ease across the line. Johnny Towers, we wait for in second place, has just eased up in the closing stages. And Brad Peary there, a bit twitchy across the line. He obviously enjoyed that. Here comes, Paul Cunvin's decked out and he's lost it. Cunvin there has crashed over at Goddard. He put his arm up to say he's okay and he sort of trundles away as if you'd never known he'd fallen off his machine. That's a shame for him. He's already been crowned champion. We'll speak to him later, hopefully. Brad Peary wins from Johnny Towers and Sam Wilford. Matt Rangeley fourth, and Dan Taylor is the Stock Twins champion there with that fifth place ahead of Sam Cox. Top three then, now you see them, Peary, Towers and Wilford. Dan Taylor wins the Stock Twins race and the championship ahead of Greg Madeiro and Max Dixon. And in the Street Fighters, it's Riddle, Biswell and Castle.
Brad Peary getting towards the end of the season now. We weren't sure whether we were going to see you here, obviously with James having wrapped up the championship, but Johnny Towers certainly kept you honest there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good ride. Like, I mean, I try to get finish all this. Like, so, I was doing alright. And then, yesterday, Johnny kept me honest at both races. Like, so I knew today wouldn't be so easy, like, but you know, we played on and. Yeah, I mean, he's fast like. I mean, he really is a fast guy and he's fair as well. But no, I felt confident off start and I was going around like, and yeah, it was good. And then and coming to the line, I was pretty ecstatic like. So yeah, it's all good like, and yeah, it was alright. Like, I mean, hope they'll be the same next race as well.
Who would you like to thank, bro?
Oh, I've got loads of sponsors. CS Tuning, Wayne Sanderson, Torridge Roofing, Brian Gregg, Chaplows, Mark Hill and Dawn, my mum and dad. My dad fabricating a fantastic airbox, Chaplows, just RST, just absolutely everyone that's put everything into it. Especially mum and dad, 'cause it's been real hard in the last couple of weeks. But yeah, I think we're all right. Cheers.
Winner of the Street Fighters, Mick Riddle. Mick, nice to, at some point towards the end of the season, get yourself on this top step. Paul obviously went sailing down the road. You've wrapped up second in the championship as well. You must be delighted.
Yeah, we're out there for a lot of fun, to be honest. Championship sorted. Some would say I only win when Paul Cumbin crashes, and they'd be absolutely right this year. Paul's been in a class of his own, to be honest, in Street Fighters this year, and you know, he should be on a 600, to be honest, but been doing it in the elites. But yeah, it's been a great year and fantastic weather here this weekend.
Anyone to thank at all?
Yeah, the RAF Motorsports Association, Ian Baldy Superbike Photography, Motul Oils have helped us this year a great deal as well. And yeah, that's it really. Thanks very much.
Dan Taylor, a big smile on your face, and it wasn't the case yesterday. Do you know they had these Thundersport championship winning t-shirts out twice yesterday and had to pack them back away again? You had everyone sweating.
Yeah, yesterday really did not go according to plan. I was hoping to do in the first race, obviously then the second race. Finally done it now, haven't we? So yeah, in this one I just basically put my head down, trying to keep it smooth. Kept looking behind me. I was gapping Greg, so I just needed to finish 13th overall. So yeah, but I want to win it to prove that I'm champion.
That's 2 championships in 2 years now, so many congratulations. Who would you like to thank?
Well, I've got sponsors. Direct Commercials, the biggest sponsor, helped me out a lot this year doing all the entries. Shane Brocklehurst Transport, again, helped me financially. Northlinks Components helped me with tyres. Father for rebuilding a bike yesterday. Mum, Lucky Charm, saying just take it steady. We took it a bit steady today. Ellen, she's always been there for me, even though she's not here this weekend. The Schofields, Lee, Paul, everybody that's helped out has been fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and well done to Dan Taylor. Don't go anywhere, folks. Coming off of the break, race 2 for the Aprilia RRV 450s. Welcome back to Donington Park. Thumbs up from Sam Wilford, who's looking to get his hands on the winner's trophy for this championship this year. Race 2, there is KJD Racing's Danny Booth, who lines up on pole position ahead of Sam Wilford, number 35, who leads overall. Third place on the grid, Matt Rangeley, number 93. The mini-man he's got written there on his 450, although he is growing rapidly. Zach Corduroy, as ever, keep an eye out for him. Sam Cox, Will Hodgson, so many names, and also the Formula 400s out there. Lewis Barnes, already crowned champion, will be firm favourite. The lights go out then here for race 2 as they head away from the line. A really strong start there from Sam Cox, number 54. And down into turn 1 we go. Danny Booth with the whole shot ahead of Sam Wilford. Matt Rangeley lining up into 3rd place. There's Zach Corduroy trying to find a way through. Sam Cox did get out there ahead of Keelan Irwin, and now into Hollywood we go. That's Will Hodgson in 4th place, just behind Matt Rangeley, but Danny Booth leads. We're on board now with Matt Rangeley, and there is Will Hodgson. That was the shadow we saw of him going up underneath Matt, and he moves into 3rd place, and in a moment Matt might just see the wheels of Zach Corduroy, who will not hang about. Into McLean's we go. It's Booth, Wilford, Hodgson. Further back there, just looking at the rest of them going through, there's number 75, Andrew Carden, who was on the podium earlier on in the 400s. He's up just behind Matt Brown, number 131, and you've got to spare a thought for Matt Brown. Matt, who qualified 2nd in the Formula 400s, race 1 on Saturday, his gearbox went. He's then worked all day on the Saturday, all day on Sunday, just to get it ready for race 2 here. And finally he's got himself out in his 2nd race, and he's working on a shoestring as well, bless him, so it's nice that he's actually managed to get out. We're on board here with Matt Rangeley, really late on the brakes, brilliantly done there from Matt as he moves up into third place ahead of Will Hodgson. Good stuff then from Matt. Now we go into Goddard's. Danny Booth still leading from Wilford. That's Sam Cox, who's now gone past Will Hodgson as well. Sam Cox, number 54. Good to see in the background Zach Corduroy just trying to shrug off the attention of Aaron Clifford. And there's that wide entry point for a few riders that are taking it. There's Zach Corduroy, shuts the nose off there on Aaron Clifford and moves up another place. Then it's Cameron Lee. Cameron has not had a good end to this season. Number 58 struggled a bit. The in competition Aprilia 450 rider. He had led this championship at one point. He's just looking to end it on a high somehow. These bikes all out here, the 450s anyway, on Avon tyres for this season, and lap records have been broken in bundles so far in the 2015 season, so obviously pretty promising, the Avon tyres at the moment. There's a wide line, and that shows you what happens with a wide line. Matt Rangeley loses out to Will Hodgson and Sam Cox, and Sam Cox now thought about a move up the inside of Will Hodgson, and that will lose him some clear drive as they go on to the back straight now. So, Danny Booth out front looks over his shoulder and just sees the number 35 of Sam Wilford. It's still Will Hodgson there in third, Sam Cox in fourth, or is he? Yes, just Cox in fourth, then Rangeley, and then on the outside of Rangeley goes Zach Corduroy. He tries to find a way round, and Matt has a look over his shoulder. Now up the inside goes Sam Wilford. Good racing as ever here in the Aprilia RRV 450s. In the last couple of years we've had runaway champions somehow, not so this year. Sam Wilford is in the lead of the championship, but it's not clear cut. They head on to the start finish straight to get rid of another lap. Danny Booth there in second, then a bit of a gap back to the guys in third and fourth. There's Lewis Barnes on the orange bike. He is the champion for 2015. This is the battle for third then. Will Hodgson, number 14, up ahead of Sam Cox, number 54. Will from Wigan, been in the championship since day one. This is now Matt Rangeley on the Hull Drifter scooter, Aprilia 450. He's looking at that battle for third between Cox with the orange and white leathers, number 54, and then Will Hodgson. Look at the contrasting lines being shown by this lot. And look at Zach Corduroy, who made me jump there by going around the outside of Matt Rangeley into the old hairpin. Brilliantly done there from Zach, the Aprilia Super Team champion from a couple of years ago. And Danny Booth has seen a gap and has gone underneath Sam Wilford now. So the KJD Racing Aprilia rider capitalises, and Sam Wilford tried to pass him back immediately. That little moment there where these two were passing each other has just allowed that battle for third to get a bit closer. Here we are on board with that battle. This is Matt Rangeley underneath Zach Corduroy, but he's got to get the bike stopped without running into the back of Will Hodgson. And Zach Corduroy's up on the inside of him now as we go uphill and then downhill into the Melbourne Loop. Still Danny Booth that leads. We're on board again with Rangeley in fifth, but he's got really, really late and wide, and he's left it a bit too late there. Will he lose any ground? Yes, he will. There goes Zach Corduroy again, up the inside of him. Now we go into Goddard's, and Matt takes it back again. He's got the inside line, pushes Zach Corduroy wide. They're losing ground on those guys up ahead of them. Zach Corduroy once again. And there's Zach Corduroy saying, will you pack it in and just sit behind me? I'm trying to catch this group in front here. It is still Danny Booth that leads. Sam Wilford in second, Sam Cox in third, and then Will Hodgson fourth before Corduroy and Rangeley. 48 is Harry Phillips. Harry at the moment is in 13th place on circuit. He's a bit higher up in that overall in the 450 standings because Lewis Barnes is up ahead of him. 35 it is that leads, and Sam Cox is looking quite aggressive there, isn't he? Trying to find a way past these guys. Sam Cox still looking for a race win on his return to the 450 class, but he's up into second place now underneath Danny Booth. Wilford it is that leads on the back straight then from Sam Cox and Danny Booth. Then a gap back to Zach Corduroy and Will Hodgson. What's happened to Matt Rangeley? He's drifted away from this group. He's well back now, and Danny Booth retakes second place back off Sam Cox. Good racing here in the 450s. Now, if this lot continue to do this, look at that. Zach Corduroy, as if from nowhere, has closed that gap in, and this is why, because they just keep on holding each other up. Sam Wilford goes around the outside and block passes somehow Danny Booth. Sam Cox is then in third, Zach Corduroy fourth. You would not want to put money on a race winner here, would you? Any one of these guys could win it in the top 5. Will Hodgson, even in 5th place, could be in with a shout. Good view there of the riders as they head down towards turn 1, although I say that Will Hodgson's just got a few tenths to make up here on this next lap. Lap times wise, all of them in the low 141s. Still not quite on that lap record of Ben Luxton's from last year, a 140, the champion. Change for the lead again as Danny Booth retakes it, the KJD Racing rider ahead of IDWE Aprilia of Sam Wilford, the championship leader. Sam Cox there, who doesn't even feature in the top 10 of the championship because he's not been in this all year long. Now in third, now in second, up ahead of the championship leader. This is helping out Zach Corduroy in 4th place, who could be a real threat here to find his way through. In the background also is then Will Hodgson. He's about 7-8 bike lengths off this group. Onto the back straight again we go. No Dunlop Bridge here anymore at the Donington Park circuit. We break down into the Foggy S's. Danny Booth with the advantage ahead of Sam Wilford and Sam Cox, who backs it in. He's not going to get that one stopped, surely. He's going to have to go over the curbs. That was a bit iffy for Sam Cox, and he loses a place, and so Zach Corduroy moves up into 3rd place. And now Will Hodgson is in touching distance of Sam Cox. Wow. Try and take a breath here as they head up towards Goddard's. And then we see it's still Danny Booth from Sam Wilford and Zach Corduroy. The last lap flag is out. I'm not sure Sam Cox and Will Hodgson are going to be able to find the podium here. It's going to be between this group. Danny Booth it is then, that leads into turn 1, Redgate corner. Now through Hollywood. The next overtaking opportunity, realistically, the old hairpin. And so let's see whether Sam Wilford can get into the slipstream. He's certainly looking good at the moment. He's broken slightly away from Zach Corduroy, but he's not going to make a move into the old hairpin from there. So next up is some drive uphill now around Schwantz Curve and into McLean's again. Not close enough. In fact, Sam Wilford might have a problem with Zach Corduroy in a moment. Into McLean's we go, and here comes Zach Corduroy, inches closer to Sam Wilford, and Danny Booth so far so good. He hangs on to his lead. Now up into Coppice. That's another overtaking opportunity gone for the two boys there just behind in 2nd and 3rd. Now this is imperative to get onto the power as early as you dare. Try and get in the slipstream with Danny Booth, and that's exactly what Sam Wilford is doing, but he's not close enough, and Danny Booth's taking the defensive line. Sam Wilford would have to go the long way round. It's not going to happen, and now we look towards the Melbourne Loop. So often races have been decided down here. Danny Booth it is that leads, and they're 3 abreast. Here comes Sam Wilford up the inside of Danny Booth, and he's done it. Nice move there. Don't count out that Corduroy just yet. He's got some good drive, and Danny Booth cuts back again and gets up into the front. Who's going to get this win? It's all coming down to Goddard's. It's Danny Booth up ahead of Zach Corduroy, who pushes Sam Wilford wide. That could prove to be vital in the championship. Booth wins it from Corduroy and Wilford in 3rd. Sam Cox takes 4th place and Will Hodgson 5th. Brilliant racing as ever in the Aprilia RRV 450s. Where are the throat sweets? I'm going to need them. Booth wins it, Corduroy 2nd, Wilford 3rd, Cox 4th. Will Hodgson takes 5th ahead of Keelan Irwin, who finishes in 6th place. There they are on the podium, a very happy KJD Racing Danny Booth there, last year's Nitro Newcomer champion. And then in the 400s, there you see Lewis Barnes ahead of Ryan Varley and Andrew Carden. So, in the points, there you see it, Wilford, comfortable enough, but Zach Corduroy could still do this in 2nd, Will Hodgson likewise in 3rd, Cameron Lee would need a miracle now to win the championship, but he'll fight for the top 3. Lewis Barnes is champion of the Formula 400. Chris Gray, at the moment, looks safe for 2nd, ahead of Andrew Carden.
3rd place in race 2, Sam Wilford, not quite on the top step here for the 2nd race. However, you're going to go into Cadwell Park with a 51-point lead, which means basically if you can get yourself on the podium for all 4 races, you will be champion. How was that one?
Yeah, I think we had a very good weekend here, extended the championship lead. Last race was battling for 1st and made a bit of a lunge into the hairpin and run wide and lost all my drive, and that got us into the last corner. But no, it was a good race, leading it and 2nd, but yeah, I enjoyed it. So.
Zach Corduroy, well, you just heard it there, 51 points the difference. All you can really do when we go to Cadwell Park for the final round is just try and win the races and maybe hope Sam makes a mistake or something like that. The main thing is, of course, it's still on.
Yeah, definitely. After yesterday, missing out on the first race after brake failure, and yeah, like you said, all I can do is hope for the best.
Who would you like to thank?
Massive thanks for mum and dad, Lawson, my little nephew for coming up and supporting, and my brother and Richard, Aprilia, Thundersport and Avon.
Danny, from Anglesey onwards, you've been in brilliant form. KJD Racing bike is back up there, and you're showing exactly why you came into this series as Nitro Newcomer champion.
Yeah, since Anglesey, I had a win at Anglesey and 2 here and a 4th, so I'm so happy with that. After I've been making my way up there, but yeah, to be there now is so good.
Who would you like to thank?
John Gibbo, Ian Newton, KJD Racing for being a good team and that. Mum and Dad, Design Iteration, Longton Batteries, Will Hodgson for doing my bike and my helmets, and Libby and George for doing my pitboard.
2 races still to go here in GP Racing Dream. After the break, race 2 for the Aprilia Super Teams. Here we go then, the Super Team Challenge, the Aprilia Super Team Challenge with this new Aprilia RRV 450/50 and Connor Tags on pole position. If you missed all the explanation of that from race 1, I'm not going to go through it all again here in race 2. We'll concentrate on the racing, but of course you can watch it back again on the Thundersport GP iPlayer. So go on to www.thundersportgp.com. You can watch all the races back however you want, when you want, and you can hear what it's all about, that Aprilia RRV 450/50 there. If you want to get involved in Aprilias in general, if you want an RS125 or you want one of those Aprilia RRV 450/50s, then of course you can go and contact Ian or Myra Newton on apriliachallenge.net, etc. You'll find all the details on the Thundersport website too. Down into turn 1 then it is going to be Max Cook, I think, who's just got the whole shot number 1. Good stuff from him then. The rest of the super teams, of course, are going to be fighting it out for 2nd place overall, which I think will probably go down to the final round. There was one of the super teams there waving his head, not very happy with something that's just happened up ahead of him. But Max Cook, number 1, it is, that leads from number 50, Connor Tagg. Then in 3rd place is number 55, which is Jack Scott from Luton. Earlier on, Alex Wood, number 26, and 24, Max Lofthouse were on the podium. Max Lofthouse certainly a rider to look out for from Burnley, who's been going well. Now looking back from Max Cook on to Connor Tagg. Connor Tagg, who started out with the Aprilia Super Teams in 2008 and actually raced on a Super Team at this Donington Park GP circuit as a support race to the MotoGP that year with Thundersport, so he remembers this very, very well, and at the moment he's working that Aprilia RRV 450/50 as hard as he can, trying to get in the slipstream. You can see there's not a lot of differences there in speed as they head down towards the Foggy S's. Keeping up with them in the early stages are number 26 Alex Wood and 55 Jack Scott, which is nice to see. So this 450/50 is bringing on 1 or 2 riders. Max Cook it is that leads into the Melbourne Loop. Then there's a gap back to Max Lofthouse there, 24, he goes underneath. Charlie Atkins. There is 96 Reese Irwin. 77 is Cade Verwey and 39 Connor Sellers. There is another race going on further back as well, a split start for the Thundersport 500 Cup. Dave Bezic, who picked up a couple of wins yesterday, good old Dave, is currently fighting along with Kev Liddell, Elliot Humphrey, Paul Sawyer, Chris Cooper. Good story about Elliot Humphrey actually, on my way back from Pereth on a flight. Randomly allocated seat with a budget airline, I should just point out. And I was sat right next to 2 Thundersport 500 riders, as if by chance. Elliot Humphrey and Matt Snow. What are the chances? This is Max Cook then that leads, number 1 from number 50, Connor Tagg. The pair of them have ditched the rest. The rest of the pack there not quite able to hang on to the tails of these 2. Max Cook really has come into his own this weekend. The Super Team champion has been pushed all the way and has led for longer than we've seen him so far this weekend. Connor Tagg, in fact, just trying to find a neat and clean way past. He will have been given a few words in the ear by Ian Newton and co before the start of this race. Whatever you do, don't wipe out Max Cook and try not to throw this new bike that's sort of currently under research down the road if you can. He didn't listen to that on Friday, I should point out, when he crashed it within about 2 minutes of getting out on circuit. We're now on board with Max Cook, and that looks like it might be the first move made by Connor Tagg. No, Max Cook shuts the door. He doesn't care whether there's research and development going on. He wants to keep Connor Tagg behind him for as long as possible as they go down into the Melbourne Loop. And so far, Max Cook going very well indeed. These guys lapping in the 151s. As I mentioned earlier, the old lap record 53.4, so they're 2 seconds quicker than that. There's Max Lofthouse, number 24, up ahead of Charlie Atkins, pint-sized Charlie Atkins. He certainly hasn't done any growing so far this year. He might do in the winter, of course. That's so often what we see. We go into the winter, we come out the other side, and they've normally grown by about 2 metres, and then they've got deep voices as well. Will that happen for Charlie Atkins? We'll find out when we roll out again in 2016. But we've got one more round after this, of course, Cadwell Park next month. There is Max Lofthouse, then he's pulled away from number 6, Connor Thompson. It's a funny story about Connor Thompson running the number 6. Dad has decided, because he's been upside down so much in the last couple of rounds, that the number 6 effectively, if it is upside down, becomes the number 9. Well, there's some confidence in your child, as we see there. Max Cook being overtaken finally by Connor Tagg, and yes, Connor goes through. I should just point out, by the way, Connor Thompson has been just lacking in a bit of confidence, so it's nice to see he's back up there again, the rider from Hawley on the CRT Racing Aprilia. He's a good rider, and he's a newcomer this year, and I suspect we'll see him on the podium more regularly next season. It's Connor Tagg then that's got out front again. There's Matt Bauer, number 78. There's Rhys Irwin as well, and number 39 is Connor Sellers from Nantwich on the Motrack Racing Aprilia. But it is the 450-50 that has the advantage there, up ahead of Max Cook. Max Cook trying to find a way back past and just revving down the gears into the Melbourne Loop. See the speed that Max Cook carries around the Melbourne Loop there. Connor has a look over his shoulder. You're not going to break him. You are not going to break him. There is number 26, Alex Wood, and then he's just gone past one of the Thumsport 500s. That is Dave Schofield. And then the battle for the remaining Super Team places as well. You can see there Max Lofthouse. Now, final lap, going across the line. Max Cook, a 150.914 for Max Cook. The old lap record of 53.4, that's 2.5 seconds off the lap record for Max Cook. We wondered if we'd see anyone in the 150s this weekend. Well, we have now. That's quicker than even Connor Tagg's gone. Connor's in the 151s himself, so brilliant stuff there for Cook. This is number 26, Alex Wood. There is Dave Schofield. Then Charlie Atkins. 24 is Max Lofthouse. So at the moment, Charlie Atkins on for 3rd in the Super Teams outright, with Max Lofthouse just behind him, and then Connor Thompson. So all these guys, well, they're all fighting for the remaining podium places, aren't they? There is Charlie Atkins, number 56, currently 3rd effectively in the Super Teams, up ahead of Lofthouse and Connor Thompson. They're now coming up just to get past Dave Schofield. He's having his own race at the moment in the Thundersport 500 Cup. And there goes Connor Thompson, big and brave, and around the outside of both Max Lofthouse and Dave Schofield there. Brilliant stuff. But then, Max Lofthouse tries to go back underneath him. It doesn't quite work out for him. This is the battle for the remaining podium place on the podium for the Aprilia Super Teams. Out front, it's still Connor Tagg and Max Cook. Here they come, chasing down those 500s. And Max Cook really has hung on to Connor Tagg very well here in the closing stages and almost nicks him up the backside there. On board with Max Cook now, and now it's a race uphill towards the final turn here at Donington, and the grunt of that 450-50 has just about done its job, I think. But watch the speed of Max Cook around the final turn. Onto the start-finish straight we go. The checkered flag is out, and it is Connor Tagg that wins, and Max Cook takes the Super Team victory. And a thumbs up and a round of applause from Connor to Max Cook there as well. Brilliant stuff. We wait for second place. Well, Alex Wood goes across the line in second. Well, I've just seen on the time screen there that he's been given a 10-second jump start penalty, and I didn't spot that earlier. Sorry, folks. That means that this is effectively the battle for second, third, and fourth, and Charlie Atkins not very happy because he loses that battle. That means that Max Lofthouse will take second in the Super Teams. Connor Thompson is on the podium, so good news for him. Then Charlie Atkins, and then Alex Wood. who loses out because of that penalty. There's the top three then: Max Cook, Max Lofthouse and Connor Thompson. And here are the points. Max Cook, champion, and 252 points clear of Freddie Crane, who will go to Cadwell Park looking to fend off Charlie Atkins and Jack Scott. Connor Thompson 5th. In the Nitro newcomers, same story. Max Cook champion ahead of Charlie Atkins, Jack Scott, Connor Thompson, Alex Wood and Max Lofthouse.
Colin Thompson, great to have you back on the podium again. 3rd place here in the final race of the weekend at Donington. You must be very pleased with that.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back on the podium after all my bad luck, yeah.
Who would you like to thank?
I'd like to thank Ian Amaya, Lorraine for the Ben Gortry bike at Anglesey. I had a really bad weekend, so yeah, thank you. P&H Motorcycles, Mark Christie at Christie Glass, Dunlop Aprilia and Dunsport, and all medics and marshals.
Well done to you, Connor, and thank you very much. We'll move on now to Max Lofthouse. Max, your smile is getting wider and wider. You've moved another step up on the podium. Great stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really get to stick with the pack at the front this time, but I got a bit lucky. Alex jumped the start, and I think it was Jack who ran off, so yeah, I got lucky.
You just keep on breaking records, don't you? Nitro Newcomer champion, Aprilia Super Team champion. You already had the lap record, but a 150.9, that's 2.5 seconds under the old lap record. Just amazing.
Yeah, well, I tried to beat the record. Well, they aimed for that race, so I really wanted to beat Connor, but yeah, it was a really good race. We were like, trying to chase him, and at the last lap I was really pushing it to try and get him into Malborn hairpin, but I mean, it was just what a race. I mean, it's so good to have a really thrilling race like throughout the whole season, like again. So
You've got a lot of family, friends, and all sorts of people following you here this weekend. Who would you like to thank?
Let's say a huge thank you for Mum and Dad, everyone, like all my families, for coming. Alice for doing the number ones, KJD Racing, Plum Surf, Aprilia Dunlop. I should do that at the end, really. M4 Karting, Roy and Kathy from Canada, Kings 2 Wheel Centre, Gary and the team at Relicast, 100% suspension, Ian Newton, medics, marshals, and everyone at Thundersport.
Join us after the break for the final race, the HMT Racing Super Twins, Stock Twins, and Street Fighters. Final race then here of the GP Racing Dream show. Brad Peary lines up on 2nd with Johnny Towers on pole number 17. There he is, Moto Direct man. And Brad Peary number 97. No James Folkard, as I mentioned before, he already wrapped up the Super Twins Championship. Paul Cunvin, who went down earlier at Goddard but is already crowned Street Fighter champion. And there you see direct commercial sponsor on the side of Dan Taylor, who's wrapped up the Stock Twins Championship to add to his Mini Twins Championship from last year. Congratulations to you, Dan. Away we go from the line. A good start from the top two there as we get away from here down into turn 1. Sam Wilford also from the 2nd row. Good start for the number 1 man, and he will get the whole shot ahead of Brad Peary. Nicely done there from Wilford. Just a few other plates coming through there is number 28, Dominic Feasy from Wells. Mixtures of machinery going through in that shot, that's for sure. This is Wilford that leads then, last year's champion from Brad Peary. Then Towers in 3rd, Cunvin is in 4th, leading the Street Fighters. Then it's Sam Cox and Dan Taylor, then Greg Madero. Few orange vests, just in case you're wondering what they are. That's to denote that they are rookies for this season and rookies out on circuit. There's Madero, Mick Riddle as well. Cameron Tenzing Jenkins goes through the shot. Mark Biswell, Andrew Castle, number 98 is Rob Pragnell. Then we saw Lee Eubank. This is Andy Driver. Andy, who loves building himself a prototype machine, as long as it's got the letters MZ in it. This is number 1 though, Sam Wilford on the Aprilia 550 going through on Brad Peary. Brad out there on the Kawasaki 650, sponsored by Diamond H Racing. There's Paul Cunvin then leading the Street Fighters, then Cox and Taylor, Madero, Riddle, Charlie Oakland. There is Cameron Tenzing Jenkins with the orange, silver and white stripes, which means that he is part of the JDF Racing team. along with Ross Simpson and number 96, Connor Wheeler. So here we go then, down into turn 1. There was Jody having a look at Sam Wilford to see how he's getting on, but he's just been overtaken by Bradley Peary, who now takes the lead. Johnny Towers not quite able to get on the money at the moment in third, then Paul Cunvin. Here is Neil Schofield again, just going past number 63, George Anderson from Evesham. That's how I thought I heard a bike go down, and that's Andy Castle who goes down, and he's a bit hurt there, and that looks nasty for Andrew Castle. And wow, bad accident down there into Redgate corner. So you watch back to the lead. It's one of those horrible sounds. I'll tell you what, Andrew Castle has just been voted Rider of the Day before this race by the marshals at that very post, and now they're picking him up, and it looks like he might be hurt. I hope he's okay. 97 it was that was leading Brad Peary, but this is Sam Wilford going underneath him. Do not forget about Johnny Towers in third place either. Johnny has won a few races in this class so far this season, and he'll be only too happy to pick up another winner's trophy, and he's catching this group as they overtake each other. Sam Wilford still out front, and look at Towers. Look, he has got really close now to the tail of Brad Peary as they climb uphill towards Goddard for the final turn. In fourth place, and lonely one at that, is Paul Cunvin on his Street Fighter. This is Wilford then from Peary and Johnny Towers. Pitboard's being held out there from Jody, who's waving him on. I'm pretty sure he's going as fast as he can, Jody, as he now goes into turn 1. And you can see the lack of adhesion flag being held out because of the gravel that's still on the circuit from Andrew Castle's incident from the lap before. So it's Wilford, Peary and Towers, the top 3 in this class, all completely different bikes. The 550 there of Sam Wilford, the Aprilia of course, and now here comes Brad Peary up underneath him. Nice move that from Brad Peary. Johnny Towers still there. Towers, who's climbed himself up to 8th place in the championship at the start of the weekend. I think when we see a glimpse of the championship standings in a minute, that will change. I think he could potentially find himself in 6th, depending on how Charlie Oakland gets on in the race. By the way, further back, Dan Taylor is leading the stock twins once again from Greg Madero and Max Dixon. There is Greg Madero. And then, other than, obviously, Paul Cunvin, Mick Riddle and Mark Biswell, the second and third in the Street Fighter. This is the outright fight for the HMT Racing Super Twins win, though. Brad Peary at the moment, 97, has it from Sam Wilford. Brad Peary looking to try and hold on to second overall in the championship. The reason why, if you're wondering, Sam Wilford has the number 1 on his bike is because he was champion of this class this time last year. Johnny Towers entered quite late in the season from Alton onwards, so that's why he's got a bit of catching up to do. There's Sam Cox, 54, and Dan Taylor, the champion of the stock twins. Now he's getting a thumbs up from them. I'm sure he's thinking, oh, right, that's great. And just that typical gesture of the fingers that are close together, just to let him know that it's quite close, which I'm pretty sure he's also well aware of. It's brilliant when you see people on pit wall. It's so easy, isn't it, from pit wall to be able to explain that. There is Sam Cox then, 54, up ahead of 26, Dan Taylor. This is the battle for 5th place. Paul Cunvin, as I mentioned before, in that lonely 4th and leading the Street Fighters. Then behind there, Madero, Max Dixon, Mick Riddle, Charlie Oakland. There is the IDWE backed Aprilia 550 then of Sam Wilford, also racing in the European Junior Cup. Magny Core, the final round for Sam. There is number 56, that's Ryan Redmond from Blackpool, one of our British Army riders. There's Rob Pragnell, just being overtaken by race leader Brad Peary, and also Justin Sharp, who's on the Happy Days Racing bike, and it's certainly happy days from there. And there's Andy Driver, who's now faced with this lot coming through on him as well. So that's nicely done there by Brad Peary. He's bought himself some time with that overtaking manoeuvre. And Andy looks over his shoulder, and we'll now see Sam Wilford and Johnny Towers going through on him. But that has worked out very well indeed for Brad Peary. We go on to the start-finish straight then, the last lap, and I don't think those guys are going to be close enough to Brad Peary to make a move. So, barring any mistakes here from Brad, he should have this one in the bag. Sam Wilford and Johnny Towers will battle it out for 2nd place overall. The exit, Redgate now into Hollywood, dropping down into the Craner curves. Here is 81, Paul Cunvin. Royal Air Force Motorsports Association, of course, backs Paul Cunvin. It says in the programme that he hails from Kings Lynn, but if you speak to Paul, you will know only too well that he hails from the northwest. And he's often seen walking around with a Liverpool Football Club t-shirt on, but I would imagine he's based, RAF terms, in Kings Lynn, hence why he's got that written down in the programme. This is Brad Peary though, Brad from Kendal, again from the northwest, and this is Dan Taylor, who's got ahead of Sam Cox. Dan Taylor on for another Stock Twins victory. Into the hairpin we go for the final time. Can Johnny Towers find a way past Sam Wilford, maybe into Goddard? That's his last chance. He's certainly going to have a go at it now. Neither of them can catch this man. Brad Peary has won this one. It's the double for Brad Peary in the penultimate round of Thundersport GP. Who will get second? It will be Sam Wilford ahead of Johnny Towers. And Bradley Peary is absolutely overjoyed with that one. He is keen to get second place, isn't he? Keen to get, and he's looking round. I don't know if he's waving his fist or what he's doing there, but Brad Peary, as ever, making lots of noise. He wins the race from Wilford ahead of Towers, then Cunvin fourth, winning the Street Fighters, and there you see the top three overall. There's Dan Taylor, winner of the Stock Twins. He finishes ahead of Greg Badiro and Max Dixon. And now for the Super Twins points. James Folkard obviously already champion. Brad Peary there in second, quite comfortable at the moment, ahead there of Dan Taylor. Then Sam Wilford, Greg Badiro and Johnny Towers. The Stock Twins again, Daniel Taylor champion ahead of Greg Madero and Charlie Oakland, who will fight out for second place when we get to Cadwell Park next month. And then in the Street Fighters, Paul Cunvin also champion ahead of Mick Riddle, Mark Biswell, Rob Bragnall, Andy Castle and Andrew Pugh. That's it then from Donington Park. Thanks very much for joining us here in GP Racing Dream. There's just one more round to go in 2015. We will see you at Cadwell Park next month.